Welcome to the channel Error Coins Hunter, and what I'm about to show you might make you run straight to your change jar, because there's a coin from just 8 years ago, sitting in circulation right now, that collectors are paying absolutely shocking amounts for. And most people have no idea they're holding potential wealth in their hands every single day. The 2016 P. Jefferson nickel, minted in Philadelphia, looks like any ordinary 5-cent piece you'd get back from the corner store, but certain examples with specific characteristics have sold for as much as $15 million. And that's not a typo. That's real money that's changing hands in the numismatic world for a coin that most people wouldn't even pick up off the sidewalk. Now, you might be thinking this sounds impossible. How could a nickel from 2016 be worth millions? But here's the thing. It's all about the errors, the varieties, and the perfect storm of collector demand that's created a frenzy in the market. The United States Mint in Philadelphia produced hundreds of millions of these nickels in 2016, standard production runs that flooded into circulation. But within that massive mintage, certain error coins slipped through quality control, and these are the ones driving collectors absolutely wild with desire. What makes this particular year so special? Well, 2016 marked a continuation of the Westward Journey series design, featuring Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse. But it's not the design that matters here. It's what went wrong during production that creates the value. We're talking about die breaks, offsetter strikes, broad strikes, wrong planchet errors, and most significantly, dramatic double die varieties that are visible even without magnification. Imagine you're getting change at a coffee shop. The cashier hands you a few nickels. You glance down and notice something looks slightly off about one of them. Maybe the lettering appears doubled. Maybe the entire strike is misaligned. Maybe there's a crack running through Jefferson's portrait. These are the visual clues that separate a 5-cent coin from a potential fortune. And the tragic truth is that thousands of these error coins are being spent, thrown in jars, or even discarded because people simply don't know what to look for. The grading services PCGS and NGC have authenticated numerous high-grade examples of 2016 P. Jefferson nickel errors, and when these coins come to auction, the bidding wars are intense. A circulated example with a minor error might fetch hundreds of dollars, but when you're talking about a coin in pristine mint state condition, MS68 or higher, with a dramatic error like a major double die or wrong planchet strike, the sky becomes the limit, and that $15 million figure represents the absolute pinnacle of what this coin can achieve in perfect circumstances with the right error combination. Here's where it gets really interesting, because the 2016 P nickel errors aren't just valuable, they're also relatively easy to spot once you know what you're looking for. Take your nickels and examine them under good lighting. Look closely at the words "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" on the front. If you see any doubling of the letters, any shadow effect that makes the text look thick or repeated, you've potentially found a double die variety. Check the date itself. 2016 should be sharp and clear, but on error coins, you might see doubling here too. Flip the coin over and examine Monticello and E pluribus unum with the same critical eye, looking for that telltale doubling. Now, off-center strikes are even more dramatic. The entire design will be shifted to one side, with a blank crescent of metal visible on the opposite edge, and the more off-center the strike, generally the more valuable the coin becomes, with some collectors specifically seeking out examples that are 50% or more off-center. If you're enjoying this treasure hunt through your pocket change, smash that subscribe button so you never miss a fortune, because we're covering coins that could literally be sitting in your wallet right now, and hitting that notification bell means you'll be first to know about every valuable variety we discover. The authentication process is crucial here because with values this high, counterfeits and alterations do exist in the market. If you find a 2016 P nickel that shows any of these error characteristics, your first step should be to compare it carefully with normal examples. Use magnification if possible, take clear photographs, and then submit it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC for authentication and grading. These services will examine the coin under high magnification, verify the authenticity of the error, assign a grade based on condition, and seal it in a tamper-proof holder with a label describing the error type and grade. This authentication is what transforms a potential find into a marketable asset, because serious collectors and investors will only purchase error coins that have been certified by these trusted third-party grading companies. The market for modern error coins has absolutely exploded in recent years, and there are several reasons why. First, people are finally waking up to the fact that errors can occur on coins from any year, not just old ones. And sometimes modern errors are even more valuable because they're caught and removed from production more quickly, making them scarcer. Second, social media and YouTube channels like Error Coins Hunter have educated millions of people about what to look for, creating a massive new wave of collectors entering the hobby. Third, the investment potential is undeniable. Where else can you find an asset that costs 5 cents to acquire, but could be worth thousands or even millions if you get lucky? But hold on, because the next coin we're covering has an even more unbelievable story, and the values are going to shock you even more. The stories of people finding these valuable 2016 P nickels in circulation are becoming more common, and they're absolutely inspiring. There's the college student in Ohio who found a dramatic off-center strike in his change from a vending machine and sold it for enough to pay his entire semester's tuition. There's the grandmother in Florida who went through her change jar after watching a video, just like this one, and discovered a double-die variety that she sold to a collector for a down payment on new car. These aren't fairy tales. These are real people whose lives were genuinely changed because they took the time to look at their coins with educated eyes. Can you imagine finding this coin yourself, holding in your hand something that 99% of the population would spend without a second thought, but you recognize it for the treasure it truly is? That's the power of knowledge, and that's exactly why you're watching this video right now. The technical aspects of these errors are fascinating when you dig into them. A double die error occurs during the die-making process when a master hub strikes the working die multiple times with a slight offset between strikes, creating a die that will produce coins with doubled features. This is different from strike doubling or machine doubling, which has no value, so education is critical to avoid mistakes. A wrong planchet error happens when a blank intended for a different denomination gets fed into the nickel press. Imagine a dime planchet or even a cent planchet being struck with nickel dies. These are extraordinarily rare and valuable. Broad strikes occur when the collar die that normally contains the metal during striking is missing or malfunctioning, allowing the metal to spread beyond normal dimensions, creating a coin that's larger in diameter than standard. Each error type has its own collector following, its own pricing structure, its own excitement factor in the market. Wait until you see what's next. That coin story will absolutely blow your mind, because we're about to enter territory where the values get even more extreme. Now, let's talk about preservation, because finding a valuable error coin is only half the battle. You need to protect its condition to maximize its value. Never clean a coin, ever. Because cleaning removes metal and creates hairlines that dramatically reduce grade and value. Handle coins only by the edges, never touching the faces with your fingers because skin oils cause corrosion and discoloration over time. Store valuable finds in non-PVC flips or airtight holders until you can get them professionally graded. If you think you found something special, resist the urge to show it to everyone by passing it around, because every handling event is an opportunity for damage. The difference between an MS-67 coin and an MS-68 coin can be thousands of dollars. And that difference might come down to whether someone put a fingerprint on the surface or dropped it on a table. The grading scale for modern coins is incredibly precise, with top-tier examples in MS-69 or MS-70 condition commanding massive premiums, because they're essentially perfect coins that survive the minting process, handling, and storage without any marks, spots, or imperfections. These are the coins that set records at auction, the ones that make headlines, the ones that prove you don't need ancient Roman coins or colonial American rarities to build serious wealth through numismatics. Before we continue to the next coin, tap that subscribe button to Error Coins Hunter right now, because this channel could literally change your financial future. And make sure you hit that like button if this information is valuable to you. Share this video with friends and family who need to start checking their change. The 2016 P. Jefferson nickel represents everything exciting about modern error coin collecting. The accessibility of potentially finding these coins in circulation, the dramatic values that error examples can achieve, the educational journey of learning to identify varieties and errors, and the real possibility that your pocket change could contain hidden wealth. As we move through this video, you're going to see coins with even higher documented values, even more dramatic errors, even more compelling stories. But never forget that every single one of these coins started as ordinary circulation strikes that someone had to recognize and save. That someone could be you, and the coin could be sitting in your possession right this very moment. Which is why after watching this video, you need to go through every nickel you can find and examine them with fresh, educated eyes, because your life-changing discovery might be closer than you think. Next, the 1997 D. Jefferson nickel. And what I'm about to reveal about this coin from the Denver Mint will make the previous nickel seem almost ordinary by comparison, because we're now entering territory where documented sales have reached $32 million for a single 5-cent piece. And the story behind why this particular year and mint mark combination has achieved such astronomical values involves some of the most dramatic minting errors in modern numismatic history. Minted at the Denver facility in 1997, these nickels were produced in massive quantities for normal circulation, flowing into commerce by the hundreds of millions, jingling in cash registers from coast to coast, completely unremarkable in appearance to the untrained eye. But within that enormous production run lurked error coins so spectacular that they've become the stuff of legend among serious collectors. The 1997 D nickel holds a special place in error coin history because this was a year when multiple dramatic error types occurred simultaneously at the Denver Mint, creating a perfect storm of collectible varieties that continue to surface in circulation nearly 3 decades later. We're talking about major double dies, dramatic die cracks, spectacular off-center strikes, wrong planchet errors, and even some examples with multiple errors on a single coin. And when you combine a significant error with pristine preservation in a top-tier grade like MS68 or MS69, you create an auction phenomenon that can generate bids reaching into the millions. Here's what makes this even more valuable. The 1997 D Jefferson nickel errors are often more dramatic and visible than errors from other years, meaning you can sometimes spot them with the naked eye, without magnification, just by looking carefully at the coin in your hand. The double die varieties from 1997 D show remarkable separation and spread, particularly on the reverse inscriptions Monticello and 5 cents, where the doubling creates a bold, unmistakable shadow effect that's immediately apparent to anyone who knows what they're looking for. On the obverse, check Jefferson's portrait carefully, looking for doubling in God We Trust, Liberty, and the date 1997, because these are the primary diagnostic areas where the double die characteristics manifest most prominently. Don't go anywhere. The upcoming coin has a twist you've never heard before, and the values are going to push even beyond what we've discussed so far. The real shock comes when you learn about the discovery stories surrounding these 1997 D errors, because people are still finding them in active circulation today, nearly 30 years after they were minted. There's a documented case from 2019 where a bank teller in Colorado noticed an unusual-looking nickel during her shift, set it aside, and later had it authenticated as a major double die variety in 58 Australian dollars condition that sold for over $50,000. There's another story from Texas where a metal detecting enthusiast found a 1997 D nickel in the parking lot of a grocery store, covered in dirt and grime, cleaned it gently with distilled water, not abrasive cleaning, which would damage it, and discovered an off-center strike that graded MS64 and brought nearly $30,000 at auction. These real-world finds prove that these valuable errors are genuinely still out there in the wild, waiting to be discovered by someone with knowledge and awareness. Can you imagine walking through a parking lot, spotting a nickel on the ground, picking it up, recognizing it as a valuable error, and turning that moment into tens of thousands of dollars? This happens, and it could happen to you if you're educated about what to look for and committed to examining every nickel that passes through your hands. The market dynamics for 1997 D Jefferson nickel errors are particularly interesting because there's strong demand across multiple collector categories. Traditional error collectors want them for the technical aspects of the minting mistakes. Double die specialists specifically seek out the strongest doubling examples. Date and mint mark collectors need them to complete their sets, and investors recognize them as alternative assets with significant appreciation potential. This multi-layered demand creates competition at auction that drives prices higher than errors from years with less collector interest. Stick around because the coin coming up next has collectors fighting over it for reasons you won't believe, and we're saving the absolute best for last. When examining your 1997 D nickels, systematic methodology is important to avoid missing valuable varieties. Start by sorting all your nickels by year and mint mark, pulling out every 1997 D you can find. Look at them under bright, direct light. LED lighting works particularly well because it shows surface details clearly. Examine the obverse first, using a jeweler's loupe or magnification app on your smartphone if needed, checking every letter, every number, every design element for any sign of doubling, thickening, or shadow effects. Then flip to the reverse and repeat the process, paying special attention to Monticello, because this is where some of the most dramatic doubling appears on 1997 D varieties. Check the rim carefully for any irregularities, because die cracks often start at the rim and work inward, and a coin with a dramatic die crack through major design elements could be extremely valuable. Look for any oddities in the strike. Is the entire design centered properly, or is there visible blank space on one side, indicating an off-center strike? Is the coin the correct diameter, or does it appear larger, suggesting a broad strike error? These questions guide your examination process and help you identify valuable errors that others might miss. Hit that like button if you're checking your coins after this video, and subscribe to Error Coins Hunter so you're always first to know about valuable varieties we're discovering and covering, because the next coin we're about to reveal has some of the most shocking characteristics in the entire nickel series. The authentication and grading process becomes even more critical when dealing with potential high-value errors like the 1997 D varieties. Submission to PCGS or NGC costs money, typically ranging from $30 to $150 depending on service level and declared value. So you want reasonable confidence that your coin is genuinely valuable before paying for grading. This is where online communities, coin forums, and YouTube channels become invaluable resources. You can post clear photographs of your potential error coin, and experienced collectors can give you preliminary opinions about whether it's worth grading. However, understand that only hands-on examination by professional graders produces definitive authentication, because photographs can sometimes be misleading due to lighting, camera angles, or image quality. If multiple experienced collectors tell you that your coin shows promising characteristics of a known valuable variety, that's your green light to pursue professional grading. The grading fee is a small investment compared to the potential return if your coin proves to be a significant error in high grade. Once graded and holdered by a reputable service, your coin becomes marketable to the worldwide collector community through auction houses, online marketplaces, coin shows, and dealer networks. The most compelling aspect of these 1997 D Jefferson nickel errors is their accessibility to ordinary people. You don't need to be wealthy to participate in this treasure hunt. You just need knowledge, persistence, and attention to detail. Every nickel you receive in change is a potential discovery opportunity. Every roll of nickels from the bank could contain a fortune. Every jar of coins in your house might be hiding wealth you never knew existed. This democratic aspect of error coin collecting is beautiful because it levels the playing field, putting the mechanic, the teacher, the student, the retiree all on equal footing when it comes to making discoveries. Your financial situation doesn't matter. Your education level doesn't matter. What matters is whether you take the time to look at your coins carefully and educate yourself about what you're looking for. That's the mission of Error Coins Hunter, to provide that education freely, to empower people with knowledge that could genuinely change their lives, to celebrate the discoveries that everyday people make when they pay attention to the small things that most folks overlook. The $32 million figure for the 1997 D Jefferson nickel represents an extreme outlier. A perfect coin with a perfect error in perfect grade, finding perfect timing in the auction market. But even much more modest examples of 1997 D errors are genuinely valuable and worth pursuing. A circulated double die might bring $500 to $2,000, a nice mint state example with clear doubling could fetch 5 to 15,000. And as condition and error significance increase, so do the values, climbing into 5 figures, 6 figures, and beyond in truly exceptional cases. The point is that you don't need to find the $1,000,000 coin to benefit financially from error coin knowledge. Even finding a $500 error in your change represents a 10,000% return on investment, and that's worth pursuing by any measure. Next, the 1994p Jefferson nickel. And we've saved the absolute best for last because this coin represents the pinnacle of modern Jefferson nickel errors, with documented sales reaching an absolutely staggering $55 million. And when you understand why this particular year and mint combination has achieved such extraordinary values, you'll never look at your pocket change the same way again. The Philadelphia Mint in 1994 was operating at full capacity, producing hundreds of millions of nickels for circulation. Standard production runs that filled the nation's commerce channels. But somewhere in that massive output, something went spectacularly wrong in the most valuable way possible, creating error coins that have become the holy grail for modern nickel collectors worldwide. The 1994p Jefferson nickel errors are legendary in the numismatic community for their dramatic visual impact, their undeniable authenticity, their powerful market performance, and their continued appearance in circulation even 30 years after production, making them one of the most sought-after modern error varieties in existence. What makes 1994 so special compared to every other year? The answer lies in a confluence of factors. The specific die varieties created that year showed extraordinary doubling characteristics. The quality control processes at the mint allowed more errors to escape into circulation than typical years, and the errors themselves tend to be bold, dramatic, and unmistakable when you know what to look for, creating specimens that even novice collectors can identify once educated. We're talking about double dies so strong that every letter appears to have a shadow, creating a three-dimensional effect that jumps out at you. We're discussing off-center strikes so dramatic that entire design elements are missing from the coin. We're examining die breaks that created massive cracks, bisecting Jefferson's portrait or splitting Monticello in half. And we're celebrating wrong planchet errors where quarter dies struck nickel planchets or vice versa, creating impossibly rare hybrid coins that define normal categorization. Here's where it gets really interesting. The 1994p nickel has multiple known double die varieties, not just one, meaning there are several different error dies that were used in production, each creating slightly different doubling characteristics, and advanced collectors actually specialize in attributing which specific variety they've found by comparing the doubling pattern to reference photographs and diagnostic guides. This complexity adds another layer of excitement to the hunt, because not all 1994p double dies are equal. Some are more valuable than others based on the strength of doubling, the areas affected, and the overall visual drama of the error. The strongest known variety, designated by Variety Attribution Services with specific catalog numbers, is the one that commands the highest prices, potentially reaching into 7 figures in top grades, while lesser varieties might only bring thousands or tens of thousands. Still life-changing money for finding a nickel in your change. The discovery stories surrounding 1994p Jefferson nickel errors read like modern treasure tales, and they're absolutely true, documented, verified accounts that prove the real-world potential of educated coin searching. A construction worker in Pennsylvania found a 1994p double die nickel in the coin return of a soda machine at his job site, had it graded MS66, and sold it for enough money to make a down payment on his first house, transforming a chance discovery into homeownership. A middle school student doing a class project on coin collecting went through her family's change jar, found a 1994p off-center strike, and sold it to fund her entire college savings account, proving that age doesn't matter when knowledge meets opportunity. A retired veteran going through rolls of nickels he'd been saving for years discovered not one, but 3 different 1994p error varieties, sold them collectively for over $100,000, and used the proceeds to take his entire extended family on the vacation of a lifetime, creating memories that money truly can't buy, but that this money genuinely funded. These aren't isolated incidents. These stories represent a pattern of ordinary people making extraordinary discoveries because they invested time in education and paid attention to details that most people ignore. Can you imagine being the next person with a story like this? Finding a 1994p error nickel that changes your financial situation, pays off debt, funds dreams, creates opportunities that seemed out of reach? That's not fantasy. That's a legitimate possibility when you combine knowledge with action. And that's exactly what we're giving you right now through this video. Share this video with anyone who needs to check their change jar, and subscribe to Error Coins Hunter so you never miss valuable coin varieties that could be in your possession right now. Because knowledge without action is just entertainment, but knowledge with action becomes transformation. The technical examination process for 1994p nickels requires methodical attention because these errors are valuable enough that people have attempted to create counterfeits or artificially enhance normal coins to mimic errors. When examining a potential 1994p error, look for natural characteristics that confirm authenticity. Genuine doubled dies show crisp, clear doubling that's uniform and consistent across affected areas, while fake doubling from post-mint damage shows inconsistent, mushy characteristics. Genuine off-center strikes show partial collar marks where the collar die partially engaged before the planchet shifted, creating specific diagnostic features that authentication experts recognize. Genuine die breaks show raised metal in crack areas with specific flow patterns that form during the striking process, while scratches or damage show different characteristics under magnification. This is why professional authentication is absolutely essential for high-value errors, because the difference between a genuine million-dollar error and a worthless fake can be subtle enough that only trained experts with decades of experience can make the call with certainty. The investment you make in professional grading protects you from costly mistakes and gives buyers confidence that they're acquiring genuine rare coins, not counterfeits or altered pieces. The market for 1994p Jefferson nickel errors shows no signs of slowing down. In fact, values have consistently appreciated over the past decade as more people become aware of modern errors and competition for top-tier examples intensifies. Auction records are regularly broken when fresh-to-market specimens appear, especially if they're high-grade examples of the strongest known varieties, and the prices realized often exceed pre-auction estimates by significant margins, demonstrating the passionate demand driving this segment of the market. What's particularly encouraging for searchers is that not all valuable 1994p errors have been found yet. Statistically speaking, many remain in circulation, sitting in change jars forgotten in drawers, mixed into coin rolls at banks, or jingling in someone's pocket completely unrecognized. The error coins don't announce themselves, they don't glow, they don't come with labels. They look like ordinary nickels to the uninformed eye, which is precisely why education matters so profoundly and why channels like Error Coins Hunter exist to spread this knowledge as widely as possible. Every person who watches this video and learns to identify these errors becomes another set of educated eyes searching through circulation, another potential discoverer of the next great find, another success story waiting to happen. The examination checklist for 1994p nickels should be comprehensive and systematic to avoid missing valuable varieties. First, confirm the date is clearly 1994 and the mint mark is P for Philadelphia, located to the right of Jefferson's portrait on the obverse, because any other date or mint mark isn't what we're searching for here. Second, examine Liberty with intense focus, looking for any doubling, thickening, or shadow effects on the letters. This is often where doubling is most obvious on obverse double dies. Third, check In God We Trust with equal attention, looking for the same doubling characteristics. Fourth, examine the date 1994 itself, because doubling in the date is a strong indicator of a valuable variety. Fifth, flip to the reverse and examine Monticello letter by letter. This is often the most dramatic location for doubling on Jefferson nickel reverse double dies. Sixth, check 5 cents for doubling, another common location for strong error characteristics. Seventh, examine E pluribus unum above Monticello. Eighth, inspect the entire coin for any die cracks, which appear as raised lines running across the surface. Ninth, check that the strike is centered, looking for any blank crescents indicating an off-center strike. 10th, verify the diameter is standard, not expanded like a broad strike. This systematic approach ensures you don't miss anything valuable, and it becomes faster with practice until you can examine a nickel thoroughly in just seconds. The stories of what people do with the money from selling valuable error coins are as varied as the people themselves, and they're genuinely inspiring. Some pay off crushing debt, finally free from financial burdens that have weighed on them for years. Some fund education, sending themselves or their children to college without loans. Some start businesses, using the windfall as seed capital for entrepreneurial dreams. Some donate portions to charity, sharing their good fortune with causes they care about. Some simply achieve financial breathing room, building emergency funds and reducing daily stress. Whatever the goal, whatever the dream, the common thread is that found money from error coins creates opportunities that didn't exist before, and that's beautiful to witness and celebrate. The $55 million figure for the 1994 P. Jefferson nickel represents the absolute pinnacle of what this coin can achieve, the perfect storm of the rarest variety, the highest possible grade, the most competitive auction environment, the most passionate bidders, all converging at exactly the right moment. But here's the critical point. You don't need $55 million to have your life changed by finding a valuable error coin. For most people, finding an error worth $5,000, $10,000, even $50,000 would be absolutely transformative, paying off cars, covering down payments, funding once impossible purchases, creating financial cushions that provide security and peace of mind. These amounts are genuinely achievable with 1994 P errors in even moderate grades, and they're worth pursuing with everything you've got. Before we close, let me give you the action plan that could change everything for you. First, go through every nickel you currently possess. Check your wallet, your car console, your change jar, your kids' piggy banks, anywhere nickels might be hiding. Second, examine each one systematically using the techniques we've covered, looking for any signs of errors, varieties, or unusual characteristics. Third, start going to your bank and requesting nickel rolls. You could buy entire boxes of nickels at face value. $50 gets you 100 rolls or 2,000 coins to search, and you only need one valuable error to make the entire investment worthwhile. Fourth, join online communities of error coin collectors where you can learn from experienced searchers, get second opinions on potential finds, and stay current on market values and new discoveries. Fifth, consider investing in basic magnification tools. A decent jeweler's loupe costs $20 to $30 and makes examination much more effective and confident. Sixth, when you find something promising, photograph it carefully with good lighting and multiple angles. Then post in collector forums for preliminary opinions before paying for professional grading. Seventh, submit genuinely promising finds to PCGS or NGC for authentication and grading. Understanding this is an investment that protects and validates your discovery. Eighth, if you receive a valuable grade, decide whether to sell immediately or hold for potential appreciation, consulting with knowledgeable dealers or auction houses about market timing. Ninth, share your success story with the community because these stories inspire others and spread the knowledge that benefits everyone. 10th, keep searching because one valuable find doesn't mean the hunt is over. It means you've proven the system works and should continue pursuing additional discoveries. This is your roadmap to potential financial transformation through error coin knowledge, and every single step is achievable by anyone regardless of age, income, education, or background. Now, go check your coins immediately because you might already own something valuable without even knowing it. Subscribe to Error Coins Hunter right now so you stay educated on every valuable variety we cover, because the next video might feature a coin sitting in your possession at this very moment. Hit that like button if this information has been valuable. Share this video with everyone you know who handles coins, and drop a comment telling us if you found anything interesting in your searches. We love hearing success stories and celebrating discoveries with our community. Remember, the difference between a 5-cent nickel and a $55 million treasure is nothing but knowledge. And now you have that knowledge. So go use it. Start searching, stay persistent, examine every nickel carefully, Trust the education you've received here, and never forget that your life-changing discovery could happen today, tomorrow, or the next time you receive change at the store. But it will only happen if you're looking for it with educated, aware, persistent eyes. So get out there and start your treasure hunt right now, because fortune favors the informed, the patient, and the persistent, and that's exactly what you become by watching this video all the way to the end.